Good morning, folks. So, not a good morning for Fever fans, but I am buoyed by the fact and the hope that Caitlin Clark is heading back into practice with her teammates and that we will see her on the floor again. Now, let me be realistic here. I am not expecting Caitlin Clark to carry this team into the playoffs by herself. Okay? I'm not. But I do believe that if she's healthy, she needs to get back onto the floor. I'm not of the mindset that, well, it doesn't look good for the Fever, so we should just keep her out for the rest of the season. First of all, that's not going to be what Caitlin Clark chooses to do. We might as well get that into our heads right now. The only way Caitlin Clark will stay out is if she gets back into practice with the team, gets into full contact practice with the team, and then feels something that maybe isn't right yet, and then she will choose to stay out because she has learned to prioritize her long-term health because she's got a long career ahead of her. And that is another learning step for a kid, and she is a kid at 23 years old, who has never had injury before. The pros are entirely different than college ball. Okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, sooner or later, the huge rash of injuries that has befallen the Indiana Fever was going to catch up with them. And I believe that's what we're seeing now. Let's look at the list of people not available to the Indiana Fever right now, okay? These are the did not play. Sophie Cunningham, Ari McDonald, Chloe Bibby, Sydney Colson, Caitlin Clark. That last name is the most important name, okay? Sydney Colson, well, that was Caitlin Clark's backup point guard, gone for the season. Chloe Bibby, mismanaged all season long by Stephanie White, but nonetheless, she's now got a knee injury, and I think she's day-to-day. She's not playing, so I don't know what that is, but then again, that's my beef with Stephanie White. Ari McDonald, broken bone, gone for the season. Sophie Cunningham, torn MCL, gone for the season. That is a huge list of frontline players not available to play for the Indiana Fever. And yes, we have had 7-day hardship signings, and these players are pretty good. But these players haven't been with the team as long as these other players have been. Okay? They haven't been. Now, I'm also hearing people calling Aaliyah Boston a bum and a fraud. Can we stop already? When Aaliyah Boston has a team around her, she's a great player. When Aaliyah Boston has Caitlin Clark on the floor, they're the most deadly pick and roll duo in the WNBA. I'm going to keep saying that. Aaliyah Boston has been inconsistent because the team is inconsistent. Okay? It's a team-wide issue. It is not just Aaliyah Boston. We're going to look at stats in a minute. But let me just say this. There's also some commentary about the roughness of the game yesterday. I'm going to say this again. Every human being has a mindset, okay? And that mindset is, I don't care who it is, all right? I've been in this situation myself before, that they will get away with what they are allowed to get away with. The first priority in this offseason for the WNBA is to solve the referee problem. Because once the referees start blowing the whistle, blowing it consistently, and the players understanding that the whistle is going to be blown, this will stop. This kind of shit doesn't go on in the NBA because they blow the whistle. Do you see anybody in the WNBA besides Brittany Griner? I saw Brittany Griner foul out, get her 6th foul and foul out. Do you see any of that going on in the WNBA? I don't see people fouling out for routine fouls. They don't even call routine fouls, let alone call flagrant fouls. The referees are the people that keep the game in control. We've seen games get completely out of control this year. Yeah, we all loved what Sophie Cunningham did to J.C. Shelton, But that was an example of a game that was completely out of control because the referees allowed it to get completely out of control. They should have thrown Marina Mabrey out when she decked Caitlin Clark. None of this looking at the film after the game and then upgrading it. Give me a break. That was an ejection foul. She should have been thrown out in that moment. And that stuff goes on in the WNBA all the time. And it's the referee problem. It is not the fact that the teams are woke and, you know, all the players are gay. Because I've had some people come on I've had at least one person shoot his mouth off about that on my site, on our site, on the YouTube channel. I don't want to hear any of that crap. The human race is all the same. There have been plenty white on white fouls. There have been plenty gay on straight fouls. Let me just remind everybody that only 30% of the WNBA is LGBTQ. 30%. That means it's overwhelmingly heterosexual. And I hate to get into this, but that is not the issue in the league. The issue in the league are the referees. Okay? That other stuff, that's just garbage. And I don't want to hear it anymore. And you want to know why I don't want to hear it anymore? Because I'm gay. And it pisses me off. Because none of it is true. None of it is true. The real problem is that the referees aren't employed by the WNBA. They are hired on a game-by-game basis. They are paid poorly. They substitute their income by reffing college games. These guys and these women need to be employees of the WNBA. They need to be retrained. And then they need real oversight. Now, there's this woman named Sue Block. I never hear her name. I looked it up, okay? She's one of the people on my petition. Okay, there's also another person that supposedly is involved in the referees. You never hear from these people. All you hear from Kathy Engelbert is, we're on it. What does that mean? It means nothing to me. We're on it. This needs to be a priority in the offseason. They need to be employees of the WNBA. They need to be retrained. They need to have oversight. They need to call the fouls in the moment. They have film available to them right there at the game. They look at that film. They make a determination, and then the next day, somebody else looks at the film and upgrades it. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Because you know what that means? That means, and I've never seen it happen, that the person who actually got upgraded to a flagrant 2 doesn't get ejected from the game where the foul was committed. In fact, they don't get suspended even. They get a bigger fine. You know what? That means nothing to these people. They need to be ejected from the game at that moment when they commit that foul. That's all the stuff that needs to change. You change that, and you will see people actually care about they only get to have 6 fouls a game, and they can't get into what we call foul trouble, because then they are not available to their team anymore. I've seen it once this year. I saw Brittany Griner commit a 6th foul against Caitlin Clark, and actually that foul should have been a flagrant 1. End of story. That's what needs to change. And the fans need to be heard. The coaches are complaining. They all are. Stephanie White is complaining. The Valkyries coach is complaining. The Skies coach is complaining. The players are complaining. Caitlin Clark has been vocal. Okay? There are other players who have spoken out. Kelsey Plum has spoken out. The players have spoken out. The coaches have spoken out. Now the fans need to speak out. And I know that the fans are not going to go to the WNBA website and send a comment. And I know they're also not going to pick up a phone and call the comment line, which you can do. I've done both things. But I have a petition out there that only has 501 signatures on it, or 521 signatures on it. I forget what it is now. And the players need to be heard, and the coaches need to be heard, but the fans need to be heard. And they're not going to follow you on YouTube, and they're not going to follow you on social media. They simply can't do that. They don't have the time, and they can't follow you and your complaints on social media. So that's what the petition is for. Please, I'm going to put it in the description of the video. Sign it and share it, okay? And it is a global petition. So if you're fans and you're outside the country, sign it anyway. This isn't limited to the United States. Now, let's look at some numbers. Kelsey Mitchell, 33 minutes, 26 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Kelsey Mitchell, for all her heroics and point scoring, is not going to win the day, okay? She is not the floor general, okay? She has games, yes, where she can have 6 and 7 assists. I agree. But she is a shooting guard, and you need a lot more than that to get into the playoffs, let alone to be successful in the playoffs. Aaliyah Boston, 34 minutes, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Decent numbers, not enough out of your center. Again, missing Caitlin Clark is a big part of that. But also, having players up front who are more aggressive would help that as well. Natasha Howard, 24 minutes, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. I have my feelings about Natasha Howard. And yes, she has put up decent numbers. I consider her inconsistent. And the one thing that has bothered me from the beginning was her statement that she was coming to the Fever because she wanted to win the MVP award. Well, I would have much preferred to hear Natasha Howard say she wanted to come to the Fever to help them win a championship. That's a better attitude for me. Natasha Howard is not winning the MVP award this year, okay? Lexi Hull, 33 minutes, 6 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists. Now, Lexi Hull did not have a good game. 33 minutes and 6 points is not a good game, okay? Lexi Hull may not be 23 points a night every night. She may not be that guard, but she's better than 6 points. But Lexi Hull has also been used inconsistently this year. Again, more of the Stephanie White putting a team on the floor based on what the other team has on the floor routine. Consistency is everything in basketball. It's everything in sports, okay? You need a starting 5. Then you need a rotation on the bench that comes in for the starting 5. And then you have role players. Lexi Hull is a killer when she is used consistently. Okay? Odyssey Sims, 20 minutes, 3 points, no rebounds, 2 assists. Odyssey Sims, I believe, is playing injured. She was listed as probable. We know there was a groin problem. It was deemed to be minor. So she was available to play, but I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt that she's playing with a little bit of pain, okay? Shea Petty, 18 minutes, 16 points, no rebounds, 1 assist. So she's a guard. 16 points is good. We need more assists out of guards, okay? Ariel Powers, 18 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Brianna Turner, 13 minutes, 2 points, 1 rebound, no assists. Michaela Timpson, 2 minutes, 2 points. Damiris Dantas, 7 minutes, no points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. It's hard to get production out of people who are used inconsistently or who don't have a defined role on the team. Michaela Timpson gets a huge pass because she's a rookie. And it doesn't matter who you are, unless you're coming out like Caitlin Clark and you're a generational player or an impact player, you're not going to get those minutes. We get that. They need to work with Michaela Timpson in the offseason. Okay? I think Michaela Timpson could be a great power forward for the Fever. But I think also in the meantime, while she is developing, and we need a coach that knows how to develop players, by the way, while she is developing, the Indiana Fever needs to go out and get a power forward for next season. That's what I think. I think they should have picked up a power forward before the trade deadline, before the playoffs, but they did not. They chose not to make any moves. I think that was a big mistake. So let me just say this. Things have to change here. I think there needs to be big movement for the Fever in the offseason. No question about that. And I'm going to say this. No excuses for Stephanie White, so no one has to worry about that. Regardless of the fact that she's been faced with one of the worst injury problems in the league, actually the worst injury problem in the league, Stephanie White should not return as the coach. They need to clean house and start fresh all over again. And I'm going to say it again. In closing, by the second half of last season, Christy Sides figured out this was Caitlin Clark's team to run. She let her run the ball, run the floor. Caitlin Clark literally turned that team around, made them 20-20, took them to the playoffs from the first time since 2016. We could have kept Christy Sides for her last season, her last year of her contract. We could have let her build on her success in 2024. Because I still say she would have. Yes, we could have changed a couple of players, no problem. But to bring in a brand new coach and 5 new players is literally rebuilding your team. So that's where I stand. I probably will not be back tonight because I'm in the middle of something with my youngest daughter. But I will indeed be back tomorrow. In the afternoon, after I get out of work, we have some other stuff to talk about. So you guys have a great day, and I will be back tomorrow.